At the top tonight, it looks like a former co-owner of Schlitterbahn Corpus Christi is no longer facing murder charges in connection with a tragic accident at the company's water park in Kansas City. The accident happened in 2016 and resulted in the horrible death of a 10-year-old boy. Jeff Henry, who designed all the rides at the park on Padre Island, also designed a 17-story water slide that the boy was riding on when he died. Henry's defense attorney is here in Corpus Christi, and he talked with our Michelle Pedraza today. Michelle.
Joe, Judge Robert Burns agreed with Henry's attorney, Ron Barroso, who last month argued that Kansas prosecutors showed grand jurors improper evidence. That included clips from a Travel Channel show and misleading expert testimony, which unfairly influenced the jury's decision to indict both Henry and the ride's designer, John Schooley. Attorneys said the transcripts of the grand jury proceedings never specified that the show was scripted and filmed for dramatic effect. They also argued against a 2013 death at a Schlitterbahn park in South Padre Island, saying it was prejudicial and irrelevant to this case.
If in fact you started indicting everyone that was out there trying to make this world a better world, be it by entertainment or by any other method, it would have a chilling effect, especially if it's not done with the intent to harm anybody. You think these people intentionally set out to build a ride that was going to hurt somebody? That's essentially what the Attorney General's office was alleging in this case.
Barroso also argued the AG's main expert told jurors that Schlitterbahn was required by law to abide by amusement park standards by the American Society of Testing and Materials and decided not to comply. However, ASTM standards were not included in Kansas laws in charge of amusement parks rides when this ride was built. The Kansas Attorney General's office is still being given the opportunity to refile the second murder charges against Henry and Schooley. There is no word on when that decision will be made, but as of right now, charges were dismissed by the judge. Joe.
All right, Michelle, thanks for the update.